I was just making sure that you were actually moving.
Oh.
All right.
This episode of Getting Tabled is brought to you by Valhalla Hobby. You can find them at valhallahobby.com. Use code GT2305 to get 5% off any order over $100.
Brought to you by some guys on the internet.
This is Getting Tabled.
With your hosts Jason the Bruce,
You guy!
George the Yank,
I hope you are all entertained by my inaptitude.
Jason aka Major Socks.
We've been doing this and talking about various stuff. One of the stuff.
Now sit back, relax, and get tabled.
Hello, future people, and welcome to episode 101 of Getting Tabled with your host, the Bruce.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode. We're here again with lots of news and lots of orcs. And we have the main man with us. He's the only reason that you turn up. He seems to want to move into the middle of nowhere and be even around less people. But hey, at least it'll be among less crazy people, I suppose. It's Captain Socks.
I've been demoted again. Dang it.
Well,
yeah,
when you use the word command, we decided we needed to knock you down a little bit because
appreciate it. Yeah, so what they're talking
Sorry,
about.
George is right. I should apologize. Recruit Socks.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yep, that's the plan.
What they're alluding to is I'll be moving next summer, and there's a chance that unfortunately I don't know, it's fortunate for me or fortunate for George, I could be moving up to where his no man land is, about 40 miles away from where he could be, which would be awesome because we could get some games in. And above me in the no man land of Wyoming is George.
Actually, that's a good point. I mean, you don't have to worry about moving there because Wyoming doesn't exist.
It's true. I might move to Fort Collins and then go work in Wyoming.
I actually know a guy, he's with the sheriff's department. He lives in Fort Collins, but he commutes to Cheyenne. Yeah. So, we're back after the 100th episode. I won't say hangover, but that was a bit of a more enjoyable, different episode since we actually talked about ourselves for a little bit. That was actually kind of nice without getting too. I can't even think of a word for that, but we're back. Normal show, talking about stuff and things and stuff.
Yeah, I like stuff and things.
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
And we're starting with the workshop of games. So, a couple of episodes ago, we were looking at some of the previews for the Arcs of Omen, and one of them was what appeared to be Commander Farsight, and it was Commander Farsight, because we actually get a look at the model. And I'm sorry, but the model is gorgeous. I know that he's standing on a tactical rock, but it's probably one of the nicer looking tactical rocks I've seen for a while. They're very heavily leaning into the samurai look of Commander Farsight here.
This is important to mention too. Within 5-10 minutes of this being brought up in our group chat with Brother Bear and Thunderboy, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw the picture of this, and someone had already put a fedora hat on it like he's a simp. That did not take the internet so long at all.
No, it really didn't. I'm on record as saying that I felt that Commander Farsight was a model that probably didn't need to be done yet, but looking at this, I'm really glad that they did. I mean, it does look really, really good. The other thing to keep in mind is that when I said that, I was kind of forgetting that the old model was fine cast at the time as well. So, I mean, it probably does need to be done. We know that they need to get away from fine casts. So.
You're mispronouncing that. It's not fine cast. It's fine crap.
That too. So yeah, I think they've done a really good job with this. I really like it. How are you with anime aesthetics, Socks?
Nah.
Yeah?
That's about it. Nah. I mean, it looks cool, but you guys know me, and the listeners know me. And
well, that's why I asked about anime aesthetics rather than G-Dub themselves.
I mean, I'm not a big anime fan as it is. I mean, I don't watch
Yeah.
any anime at all. So
You watch Clone Wars. That's you can
it's pretty
you
close.
you can technically start to classify that as anime. I'm gonna 1,000% agree with your samurai aspect of that, because if you look at the tree branches, that's very cherry blossomish. I'm
Yeah.
actually disappointed
Yeah.
they didn't paint those to just look like cherry blossoms.
Yeah,
But-
I can see that.
But he has Xenos, and cherry blossoms are probably blue or green or wherever he's from, not
Yeah.
the pink that we're so accustomed to. Good looking model. I feel as young, and when I say young, as far as release of armies and stuff like that, I think the tower is still reasonably young enough that they don't need too much redone compared to some of the other stuff that's out there that it's really shown its age. I mean, I think there's still some Eldar stuff that needs to be redone before they worry about a new Farsight.
Yeah, but at the same time, we were very critical when they've done these things, and this is essentially what they're doing now. But they release a book, and the only thing that book gets is one new model, which is basically what they do with Xenos 99% of the time. At least in this case, they're doing they're redoing something that doesn't need to be done quality-wise. Well, not in the details, but getting rid of the fine cast is a good thing. So
I'll agree with that. Yeah, I think moving everything and anything away from Finecast is a good move. That
he also tends to be one of the most popular heroes in the town. They have a lot of other heroes that need to get out of the Finecast as well, but he's probably the most popular and the one that's going to get the most attention.
Yeah, I think getting anything that they have in Finecast away from Finecast into a plastic molding is much better call for them. I mean, they're large enough; they shouldn't be having to do resin anymore.
Yeah,
as big as they are, they should be plastic. Period.
Well, although there's no confirmation from the company, the rumor is that they are trying to phase out that they're just doing Games Workshop, and if they do it all at once, then they can't spread it out over years and get lots of sales out of it. There is also a boarding control box coming out as part of this, which is basically, it's just an updated version of the old starter, really. You're getting some Fire Warriors, you're getting some Crisis suits, and then obviously you're getting him as well. So, yeah. Only thing I'll say is I'm kind of hoping that, because the artwork on the book shows him without his helmet, and I'm kind of like, ooh, I wouldn't actually mind that as an alternate head. I mean, I know it doesn't make any sense in the aspect of the game, but I wouldn't mind that. Actually being able to do something different. I don't know, just a thought.
If I have the option of a bear head or a helmeted head, I put the helmeted head on just so, one, I don't have to do a bear head. Two, if you have a helmet, wear your damn helmet.
I know. The only thing is, I don't actually know, but in saying this, I'm kind of arguing against myself. I don't think their head is actually where the head of the model is. From memory, I think they're actually in the body of the mech. So my thought wouldn't work.
I think I'm not. Yeah, I can't remember for certain. Yeah, because I know the broadsides maybe. I think the head might be close to where. The bigger ones, no, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think those are anywhere near.
Yeah.
But next on the release list, we have a sneaky Orcsy.
Yep, this is one of the reasons why I made my comment at the start. So we're also getting a sneaky orc. I find the way that they describe this really odd, because he's so sneaky he could be purple. I'm guessing that's a lore reference that I'm not familiar with. Why are sneaky orcs purple? Is there a lore thing I don't know about?
I don't know enough. Listeners, if you know and you can answer that question, please comment and let us know.
Yeah.
That would be great.
It sounds funny, but
yeah. Look at the model. It looks like there are two heads. The one that they have shown on the full model, and then there's the alternate model where he's got his NVGs down and on. That looks great.
I prefer it with it up. Honestly, that's just me.
No, the NVG's down like that. I think that looks so good.
I mean, they both look good. I just prefer it with it up. I also
you could be
really,
wrong,
really
it's
like
fine.
that. I really, really like that boarding patrol box. Like that boarding. So you're getting some flash kits, some beast snagger boys, and some commandos. And obviously the commandos is going to be one of the big things here because that's been out of stock for a little while. I know that there are people that's been wanting to buy that for Kill Team. I kind of wanted them for Kill Team, but you couldn't buy them. I really like this release. I think this one's really nice. George disagrees.
No, sorry, I moved ahead. I don't have much. I don't have much of an opinion on orcs. They don't get my attention because they're one of those armies where you have to have thousands of models to have hundreds of points.
Yep. That is definitely a downside. Do you like orcs, Socks? No.
No. If anything, it'd be more of the elvish that I would like in Age of Sigmar. That realm of things.
That's fair. Moving on. Lord of Hubris punishes.
Yeah, this is what I was starting to look at, and
I quite like this.
I don't know how I feel about it actually.
I quite like it. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking I can see people. This is just a customizer's wet dream. This is screaming for conversions.
Yeah.
Socks mentioned elves. I could see this being made into something for the elves very, very easily. I mean, I don't know if this character was supposed to have been an elf initially. It wouldn't surprise me.
Ear shape is wrong because they do show.
Can you see the ears?
On one of the side profiles, you can see.
Yeah,
one of the side profiles, and it's a little more profile like an elf on the book cover. So it's.
So. I will say this. Everything but the human part of it. So like the head, the chest, and the arms. Like I love the look of. If you made it look more like a Slaanesh, demon, with the purplish skin, 4 extra nipples, stuff like that. I think that looked really good. This is one of the first times I'll say the tactical terrain, of the model. I think actually looks really good and actually is like really usable. I think. Like, I still wouldn't have that with the model, but I would use that as like a terrain marker or something.
Yep. It's worth noting that the video that they have in the thing that's playing in the background right now actually shows off the next story as well, because, well, screw us, I suppose. So the other one is the new Khorne character. I don't mind this one. I don't like it as much as the previous one. I will agree with you on the terrain of the Slaanesh guy, though. I do quite like that. I mean, I don't mind this guy. He doesn't scream at me as much as the Slaanesh one does. This just feels like another Khorne to me. And I mean, yes, that's what most people want, but it just, I don't know, it just...
Look at this one.
This screams too loud.
I'm gonna say this. Like, I don't like this one at all.
There's too much going on this. So we heard you like spikes, so we put spikes on his spikes so that you can spike where you spike. Like, it's just... Don't get me wrong, spikes are cool, skulls are cool, and they're trying to go for a heavy metal type vibe. But this to me screams like somebody that's trying too hard to be metal.
This is one of the guys at the park LARPing on a Sunday afternoon with his friends.
Which, I mean, LARPing is fine, but yeah, it doesn't. This screams like somebody's trying too hard to be Khorne. It doesn't feel Khorne to me.
That's what I'm saying though. Is like, if you look at some of the LARPing, like they are trying too hard, and like, it's a social outlet. I get that, but this just feels too much. I think it'd be better if it was like just, a couple of horns and spikes and wearing like a robe.
Yeah.
I think that would have more an effect.
I hope that it comes with an alternate head. If it had just a normal head that looked really angry, I think this would be much better.
Yeah, that head is probably what's killing it the most for me is
the head's horrible.
well, and
Well, it's half a head. It's half a helmet. It's cut off right above his nose, or right below his
Right.
nose.
They've clearly gone
Yeah.
for the Conan-esque here, but it just doesn't work.
the other thing that kills it for me too is how they've really intentionally made that pose part of the terrain too.
Yeah. It's going to be very hard to sculpt. Like, you're going to have to, like, there's no way around.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's-
obviously you can replace the rock with something else, but you're
I
going to
know
have to
some
change
people like
too
that
much
stuff
here.
and everything, but that is just one of my biggest pet peeves of, what if my scenery board that I'm doing has nothing to do with rocks that look like that? So now I have this model on a rock that goes with nothing else on my terrain board.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
I
it's-
don't mind. Like, the rule for me has always been, I don't mind there being terrain on the base, but it needs to be done in a way that you could just not include it if you didn't want to. Now, it's possible that this will be done where, yes, you could just not include that bit. But the pose makes it really, really hard to justify
Not included.
anywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, yes, you build something that fits your table, but... Yeah.
Now, let's back up a step. If this model is part of like Warcry or one of their, board games, yeah, pose it like that, do it like that. That's fine and perfect. But for something where, part
Where
of this game and
supposed to be
hobby,
themed.
is your paint scheme,
Your
your
aesthetics.
customization, your aesthetics, good word usage.
Yeah.
To force us into something like that really it irks me a lot.
Yeah. And of course, there's a new Vanguard box for both of these. So the Slaanesh one comes with a whole heap of duelists and a covert crumper. I don't actually know what the covert crumper is. I'm guessing it's the thing in the middle.
Oh, I thought you said COVID crumper. I was like, whoa, that's still a thing.
And sorry, I was reading the wrong one. Sorry, so it comes with some Blissbarb archers, their homunculus companions, the slick blade seekers. I like the names that they give all of the stuff for Slaanesh, actually. Because it kind of it feels dirty as you're saying it, even though there's nothing wrong with the words at all. The Slangor Fiend Bloods and the Shard Spear of Slaanesh and some Bliss. I already said that. And the Khorne ones come with your mighty Skull Crushers, Slaughter Priests, Blood Reavers, and Blood Warriors. Of the two of them, so you're looking at 20 miniatures versus 24. I mean, the Khorne one looks like it's better value, generally speaking. I mean, I don't know about monetary, but what you're getting in the box. Because most of the value you're getting from these boxes because of the inflation of prices anyway. The value is perceived as opposed to real. But there are other companies that make stuff that is not Games Workshop.
Like Corvus Belli?
Corvus Belli. Yeah. I have mixed opinions
Or-
on this first story. The second story in this I'm kind of really psyched about. So they're releasing some new minis and they are going to be working with a new material for their miniatures. So they've obviously decided to move away from the stuff that's been getting such mixed opinions. And they're
Metal?
moving across, and I'm just going to
Not
read
metal.
this. It's a plastic resin, a mixture of resin and PVC that maintains a high level of detail but is not as fragile as conventional resin. Now, George,
Interesting.
what does that sound like to you, or do I just need to say it? Because to me, that sounds like Restic. And if it's Restic, this is not good news. Restic is the cheap stuff that Mantic used to use that led to such a mixed opinion of that company for a long time. Restic, detail-wise, they're right, can look phenomenal, but it's a horrible material to work with. Now, the thermoplastic from COcast wasn't great. It's better than Restic if that's what they're doing, though.
So, it depends on what it like. If it is that, yeah, that sounds like a really terrible idea. And who knows? Maybe they've come up with some proprietary formulated mixture that is whether it's gonna what they're saying it's gonna be, what it's gonna do, and it won't be nearly as bad. So, we'll one have to wait and see what the community says. Two,
Yeah.
I like this just because that's one of my biggest things about, this hobby is any sort of metal. If one of these guys comes loose from wherever they're being stored or whatnot, something's getting destroyed, and you have to repaint and fix.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I completely understand why they're trying to avoid resin, as much as resin is a very nice material. For the really fine, fragile pieces that they make, I think resin would be a very bad call for them, because nothing would survive. There's too many thin, very fine pieces. They just wouldn't
especially
survive.
on that first model.
Yeah.
And
this is a large model.
Yeah.
Those sort of spikes and stuff, they exist on the small stuff too.
Well, and just the stuff, the things with resin too, it's just like, temperatures, right? Things bend and flex a lot easier with resin under, Australian summers and stuff, as an example.
Yeah.
That's going to cause issues too. So that's where hard plastic's great, but you don't have the detail. It has to be a little chonkier sometimes.
Yep.
And that's why for the longest time, Corvus Belli has been, a metal miniature company, because
to a point where there was at one point where they were saying that they would never use any other material. Now, obviously, the market's gotten to a point where they have to start using other stuff now, because obviously, metal being the way that it is, it's kind of on the way out. It's not as expensive at the moment as what it was. It did kind of come back. It's still not as cheap as it used to be, and I don't think it ever will be again. I do still believe that we will be seeing the end of metal at this point. We're not quite there, but I do think it's on the way, because it's just getting more and more expensive, just because of the nature of the world we live in. I'm kind of hoping that I'm wrong on this. I'm kind of hoping that it's not that horrible Restic stuff that we used to see from... It's not just Mantic. Privateer Press used to use it as well. And I'll be quite frank, it's one of the reasons why I never played that game. I mean, it's not the only reason. I just never really got into it. But aesthetically, it never did anything for me. Kind of like with Socks with 40k.
Working with the War Machine stuff that I've got for Protector of Mennoth, the plastic, the just absolutely horrid.
Yeah,
to
and it always has been. This is why I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but to me, plastic resin describes one thing.
Yeah.
And it's something I've never been a fan of. Now, and like I said, with the way that their models are done, they have to find something that's going to have flexibility if they can't rely on metal. So that they are going to be limited in their choices. I didn't have many problems with CO Cast. I mean, I completely get why people didn't like it, but the plastic resin has the same problem. Trying to get rid of mold lines and stuff, you have to cut them off. You can't just scrape them down because it's too flexible. So I'm hoping that's not the reason they've gone in this way, but time will tell. It's kind of too early to say. Of the two models that's hinted there, I think the bigger one's the nicer one. That's just a personal thing.
I like the second one.
You like the second one?
Yeah, the kind of stealth ranger looking thing.
Yeah. I mean, they're both nice. I'm just saying which one I prefer. Both of those minis are part of the new ITS season. That's their tournament kits that they do, where you can win these as part of tournaments and so forth that you can go in. But this next company name is going to make both of you go, huh? Because I'm sorry, but JoyToy is a really...
No, I'm aware of them. I've looked at a lot of the Warhammer stuff they've done.
Yeah.
There's a couple times where it's just like, ooh, I want those Space Wolves. I want them tactically on my desk.
Yeah. And they're really, really good too. So JoyToy are going to be making some Infinity minis, which is really, really cool. They have been working pretty much exclusively with Warhammer up until this point. Well, wargaming-wise. But our friends at, and I know that you guys aren't going to know who I'm talking about, but our friends at Toy Reel have been slowly collecting all of the like one of each of all of the Warhammer ones, and have been raving about the quality of these toys. They are absolutely phenomenal. I've been on the verge of buying one several times. I just can't afford it right now. Like they are absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that like Infinity has gotten big enough to get a company like this to look at them is a very positive thing for the indie side of this business.
Well, and part of it too is, it's not so much they've gotten big enough, but I think it's just, licensing money. And I think with the success that they've had with the 40K stuff, I think, given where, a lot of the stuff JoyToy does, I think looking at Infinity, I think they're looking at like, this is a slam dunk. It's more that wargaming community. They buy anything. But this also holds to like the rest of the stuff they do as far as the anime and stuff like that. Like Infinity is a very anime feel. So I think they'll see sales from this from people who don't play Infinity just because it falls into that. Yeah. I like the look of this, like the rest of the mechs and the other stuff, and it'll just go on shelf collections just like any of the other anime stuff too.
JoyToy from Beijing, so like they very much will be falling. Well, I suspect that they will very much fall in love with the aesthetic of Infinity because it leans very heavily into things that are very popular in that part of the world. Of the ones that they're showing off, I think the big guy's probably the one that gets my attention.
The shotgun Ratnik, yeah, for sure.
I like those too.
And the giant rocket hammer thing is just awesome.
Right, yeah, I mean, like, that's anime stuff right there. Like, that's even if someone's never played that game, but they're big into anime, they're gonna see that and be like, "Oh, that's cool. I gotta have that."
Yeah. It's mechs. Mechs are always cool,
right?
Unless you're Socks. Socks doesn't like mechs.
Yeah, that's why people like the Tau.
I have 2 ATSTs. I like mechs.
That's Star Wars. It doesn't count.
Those are like classic mechs, man. Not like this modern.
I know, right?
Stuff.
Oh dear. So yeah, I really, really like this. I was very, very happy to see this. This is not an army that I get into personally, but I'm very, very keen to see some of the other armies that come out.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be really interested to see the some of the other stuff that comes out from this company with some of the other stuff I've seen for Infinity, like the bikes.
Here's the thing I'm going to find interesting. See, the benefit of doing it with Warhammer is that you can do several different things of one toy and just paint it differently.
Yeah.
You can't really do that with Infinity because every army has their own aesthetic feel to it. Yeah. I assume that's why they've started with these fairly generic-looking guys because they could just be anything. But it's going to be interesting to see what they choose to do.
Yeah, I would be hard pressed not to open my wallet for one of those Infinity bikes made by JoyToy. I would be really like, ooh.
So would I. For several reasons. Yeah. All right. Moving
TT
across. Yes, TT Combat's got a couple of new things. We spoke about the space stations last time. The first one I want to look at is Michael J. Wolf because it's Teen Wolf.
Or Michael J. Fox. Or
yes, that is very clearly the thing they're doing. But yeah, it's Teen Wolf. I really like this, honestly. It's a lot of fun. I like there's a lot of nods to pop culture in Rumbleslam. Like fairly consistently. The other Rumbleslam one we're going to look at in a second is very much one as well. But I really, really like Michael J. Wolf. It's a lot of fun.
It's actually Michel.
Oh, it is too.
What is Michel? It is Michel, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I didn't want to say it or anything, but I was looking at it like, this character has boobs.
I had noticed that as well, but I just thought maybe it was the lighting.
Right, yeah. I was thinking it was the painting or the sculpting or...
Thank you, Socks.
You're welcome.
Michel
one of us knows how to read.
What's a read? The other one that I hinted at a minute ago.
One letter and go all the way through?
It's what you put on a musical instrument and you blow on it. It makes noise. That's what a reed is.
Ah, right. Okay. Yep, that's very helpful. Thank you. The other one we're getting is Frank N. Stein, who has one giant fist that's the size of his belly. Like, this is so silly in the best way. It's really dumb in the best way. Like, quite frequently when I say that things are really dumb, I'm meaning it in a positive... not always, but I mean it in a very positive way. I just love how stupid this is.
Did you ever hear about the time Dr. Frankenstein went to a bodybuilding competition realizing he misread the description?
I like that. There's also the bride.
Jeez.
So it's literally Frank and Stein. So Frank is the male and Stein is the female. And I like the fact that they have very clearly been built from different things.
Parts.
Yep. And they've been
Half the
painted
way
to
on
look
one
like
side
they
is-
don't belong together. Like, there's very clearly at least 3 different species there. I like that. As opposed to, like, Frank is... Like, it still all kind of works together. If I was to paint that, I would probably try to do something similar to what they've done with Stein.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is a tag team, so this is something that's designed to go onto the table together. I really like this. It's so much fun. Last one in the miniatures for this fortnight, at least, is the Templar First Class. So we're getting a new box set coming out for Carnivale. This is for the Templar, obviously. So this is coming from Rome. I'm trying to think. Vatican, that's the word I'm looking for.
Well, no. The Vatican's its own country. Rome is like something else.
Yeah, but it's I was saying Rome because I couldn't think of what the word was.
But I knew that.
Of course you did.
I've been there.
I haven't. I've been to Canada. That's the only other place overseas, apart from the airport in Dallas. That's the only other place I've been.
That's a horrible airport. Anyways, back to TT Combat.
Yes, it was, but it saved me $1,000, so I'm not going to complain. I mean, I quite like this. This is, again, like, we're getting different characters. Like, we've got a very, very short man here. Well, a young teen is probably what it's supposed to be, realistically.
Squire.
It's a squire, yeah. As well as all of the knights. I don't quite know whose sword he's supposed to be holding. I guess it doesn't matter.
He's holding it, so it's his sword.
Squires don't have swords. They hold other
hand the
people's
knights-
swords and borrow them temporarily. The knight in particular, I really, really like. I also like the fact that they've actually shown off the alternate head here, because this is obviously something that you can build a couple of different ways if you want to have more of them. And it's like that with quite a few of these models, with the exception of the priest. The priest does not appear to have... The priest and whatever the guy is that's shooting the crossbow. But the actual main, like the 2 big characters, have alternate builds that you can use. I quite like that.
I was gonna say the one with the crossbow over his back, holding the sword.
Yep.
Kind of vagabondish looking guy. I really like his look.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I like it better with the mask, the head with the mask.
That on the knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The one
agree
that
with you
George
on that.
talked about. The one with the crossbow on his back. I think I like it with his mask up.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think I prefer the bigger picture when it comes to the other knight, because you've either got the redhead or you've got the bald guy, and I think I prefer the bald guy, especially with the scarring and stuff. That'll be a lot of fun to paint.
Well, to have a redhead, work for the church, that makes no sense since they don't have souls. I mean, that seems like kind of a big conflict of interest there.
Well, to be fair, the church itself doesn't either sometimes. Especially if you read the lore behind this. Of the 5 characters in the box, I think I'm with Socks. I think the guy with the crossbow is my favourite. Not that I don't like the other ones, it's just that one's my favourite.
The one in the middle?
No, the guy with the big crossbow that's shooting it.
On his back? Oh, shooting it?
Yeah.
I like the guy in the middle. I think that's the one you were talking about, right, Sox?
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about.
Oh, so I misunderstood you then. No, I quite like the guy with the purple pants. I think that the hairstyle is so unique. I mean, it's a bowl cut.
I was going to say, it's a bowl cut.
Yeah, but you don't see that in minis very often.
No, you don't.
I quite like. I mean, they all look good. It's just that's my favorite. I'm alone. It's fine. Coming up next, we had something teased by Steamforged Games this week. Sea of Thieves.
Well, we got some.
We got some terrain.
We got some new terrain from TT Combat too.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I missed something. It's almost
From
like
a galaxy far, far away.
True, actually. So
A long time ago.
You should be very, very happy for this. So we've got a couple of things that's coming. We've got a crashed starship, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, that is brilliant. That is like the perfect scatter terrain.
Yeah, big time. I quite like the starport. Like, that feels straight out of Mandalorian, personally.
I have one already in 3D plastic. So I don't know if I'll be getting the hangar bay. But I do agree the crashed starship would be great at scatter terrain.
Yeah.
The super laser tower has a very Hoth feel to it.
Yes, I agree. It needs to be grey.
Or Death Star.
I guess you could do that, yeah.
I suppose one gun turret looks like the other as any other gun turret because it's just a gun turret.
Yeah. At the end of the day, yeah. Especially in a world like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think of all of the new ones that we're looking at, I agree with George. The crashed starship is my favorite.
I mean, it's so nondescript. It's so simple.
It works in any setting.
It does so much for a terrain board. I mean, you could take, what is that? Was it 3, 5, 10 pieces? And you could stretch that across to 4x4.
Yeah.
It would work because it's crashed. It's spread out. And you could do a straight line diagonally, whatever, across the board, and it's just going to work so well. And, it's what, $15?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's generic enough that it fits in any setting. This could be a spaceship in any game.
Yeah.
Like Go ahead.
The only issue that I have, and a lot of people are starting to see this with the new rules of Legion, is we need to start seeing terrain pieces that are at least 12 inches high with the new rules they just came out with. It goes with movement up and down and line of sight rules. We're going to be starting to see on tournament tables a lot of terrain tables. It's going to have a mixture of pieces of terrain that are 6 inches and lower, as well as 12 inches like that tower, that super laser tower. We're gonna have to see a lot more tables like that with that mixture in order to compensate for these new line of sight rules that we have in Legion, which I just played on Thursday, which they're not as bad.
They're not as bad as you thought they were?
There's still some issues, and a lot of people still say there are some issues that they need to fix, but they weren't as horrid as I thought they were.
That's fair. I mean, it's good to see that it's not gone as bad as we thought it had. Or as you thought it had, because I haven't played Legion. Last two is we have a couple of small, I'm going to say they're bundle boxes, pretty much. You've got the observation facility, which is like a group of buildings that all kind of fit together. And Sandstorm Marketplace. Of the two of them, I think I like the Sandstorm Marketplace personally. They're basically the same boxes, but with different themes. One is a sand planet, and the other one is more of an industrial facility.
I like the Marketplace better just because it has more
character
of a versatility.
Yep.
Agreed.
Yep.
I like that one too.
And coming up next, a story that I definitely haven't already spoken about. Steamforged Games have teased that they are going to be working on Sea of Thieves. So, Sea of Thieves is a game that came out for pretty much everything at this point, but it was originally done by Rare. It came out on the Xbox for a while. It's basically a multiplayer pirates game. It kind of started very basic, and it kind of grew over time to become something very popular. We don't really know anything other than the tease at this stage. I'm going to assume this will be a board game, but we don't really know anything yet. This will be going straight to retail, apparently. Somebody asked if it will be on Kickstarter. So whatever this is that they're working on, it's not going to Kickstarter. It's going straight to retail.
Unless it's like a big, huge, brand new thing. It's, one of those things like Steam Fort Engage, I think, is one of those companies that they shouldn't be doing stuff on Kickstarter.
Well,
Like,
they're
if
nowhere
it's
near as big as Simon and the others, but I do agree with you. It 100% is the way that it should be going.
Unless this is like something completely brand new, no one's ever heard of it before, something that's never been done before, everything is a new, because let's be honest, nothing's new. Everything is some sort of rehash or remix of something else.
Yeah.
I could see putting that on Kickstarter, like, how popular is this going to be? How many people are going to throw money at it to get it, developed? Something like this, where it's already like, the intellectual property's already been around, it already has a following and fan base. Yeah. Make it, put it on the shelves. If it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't,
Hence my constant points with all of the Disney stuff that Simon are doing. It doesn't belong on Kickstarter. There's no
Disney?
excuse.
Oh, Marvel. I was like, what Disney?
Yeah. There's no excuse. It doesn't belong there. And they should be ashamed of themselves for constantly doing it. I will die on this hill. Moving on. Speaking of Marvel. So we saw we saw the Hulk recently. We now have a new MODOK. Much like the Hulk, this is so much better than the original one. The original one is actually really nice, though. There's more to this. Like, he actually feels like he has... Like, the other one was just like a generic angry face. And this one, there's actually feels like there's more going on here. I mean, this has clearly been inspired by the new Ant-Man movie, which is fine. Thank goodness they didn't make it look like it did in the movie. I'm not going to.
As long as Patton Oswalt doesn't do the voice, I'll be okay with it.
I will not answer that question because it's a spoiler. But yeah, anyway, I really like this. I don't know if you have any thoughts, Socks.
Not much. Just because I've got some of my local friends play Marvel. I've played it a couple times. It hasn't really intrigued me too much. I mean, it has and it hasn't. So. Well,
you're not really a huge superhero person, right?
Not much. I mean, I like to watch the Marvel movies, but that's about it, really.
Yeah. So you don't really like it doesn't tickle that fancy for you like it does for me and your friends.
No, I haven't really gotten into. I've gotten into any of the comics.
Yeah. Which
DC
is understandable.
So.
Yeah. We also have a couple of new things coming for Legion. So we got Asajj. Now we have actually had this teased, I believe, at some point. No, she's one of the characters that was coming for Shadowpoint. So we're just getting the Legion equivalent.
Yeah. So Legion.
I was gonna say this pose looks almost exactly like the Shadowpoint pose on the back of the box.
It's very, very similar. I'm going to argue the obvious. It doesn't look as nice. But there's no way that it can look as nice because it's a completely different scale. Given what they're working with, and it is worth noting that, I mean, Legion does look okay, but it's not supposed to be the groundbreaking. Like, it is very much budget sculpting. And that's, I mean, I'm not hating on Legion. I'm just like, that they are not trying to be the best in the world. And that's not why anybody plays it, sculpt-wise. Nobody plays Legion because they have the best models. They have decent models, and that's all that people are kind of expecting. We also have Clone Commander Cody. I don't believe we've seen a tease of this earlier. I actually really like this.
I don't know if we put it on there, but it's been teased a while ago, so people are really excited for him because he's gonna be able to change how vehicles work for the Galactic Republic, and so a lot of people are excited to see how it works out with his new command cards that's going to come out.
Yep.
So
I like the fact that we're getting alternate heads. That's fun.
Well, they're not alternate heads. You get Waxer and Boyle, so you actually get 3 miniatures. So,
but it says alternate head options because there's alternate head options for the.
Oh, you're right. Yep, I see it.
Yeah. But that just means that you have to buy the box twice. Because of course it does. Anyway, we're kind of coming to the end at this point. We only got a couple more things to go. Crooked Dice, the releases for this month. So we now finally have the final version of Abomination, which is, yes, it's definitely the bad guy from Thundercats. So we have his transformed form. He's kind of missing a few of the bandages and stuff, but obviously that's so that they can pretend that it's not him. Same as like the horns and different stuff as well.
Could you imagine trying to sculpt that with bandages coming off it?
Oh,
too?
yeah.
That'd be an absolute nightmare.
Yeah. We also have Beastman allies. So we have A, B, and Pet. It's definitely not Snarf and the kids. It's A, B, and Pet. Snarf, famously the most... Sorry, no, I take that back. The second most annoying character in cartoon history. The first being Pikachu.
I thought you were going to say Orko.
No, Orko actually has fans. I mean, there are people that don't like Orko, and I was kind of like always in the middle about Orko. But there are actually people that always liked him. It just depends on the people. We also have some nice Robin Hood villains here, which I love, but it's not the important one. Because there's only one model here that anybody cares about, and it's the knight that says, "Nee." I love that so much. And I love that they've made it their own too. Oh, there's also some moon-based people. Hern of the Woods.
I was going to say those moon-based crew look sort of Planet of the Apes-ish.
Yeah. I mean, they're very, like, it's very retro sci-fi, which a lot of this sort of stuff tends to go in that direction.
Yeah, the I will say that the Mum-Ra character that's not Mum-Ra looks really good.
Yeah, I am a big fan of that. That looks really, really fun.
Actually, as far as villains go, I think that was probably one of the best villains because, like, you know, most of the time he was like the shriveled, decrepit mummy in his bandages, just like barely able to do anything. And it's like, all right, I finally have to do something. So he whips out his, lich magic power, and he just gets ripped and like, let's go. Like, I thought that was so cool. Like,
it was terrifying. It was great, and I mean terrifying in a really good way.
Yeah.
Like I said, the highlight for me is the knight that says "Nee," the Hern of the Woods. Like, it's one of the most popular references in pop culture history, and I like the fact that it's been sculpted in a way that, well, I mean, it works for the game, but you could legit throw this into pretty much any fantasy setting you wanted. Like, it's straight up a hero for the nature of whatever army it is that you want. Or it's some dark cult or something. Like, you could justify this pretty much anywhere, so long as it's a fantasy setting. 7TV, for those that know, is like, that's a game where basically you're playing out a TV show on the table. It's very, very unique in the way that it works. I'm kind of curious to actually have a game of it. I've never played, but it's very, very unique. Black Site Studios make one of my favourite games, and it is the game I'm talking about today. Don't Look Back is getting a brand new book. This is an update of the initial core rules, and it's going to be a big, hardback book. So this is essentially a new edition for the game. This is not going to make any of your old stuff obsolete. It's an update, and like, it will be done in a way where the previous expansions that you've purchased will still 100% work with it. We don't know a lot about contents here. Obviously, it's going to be much bigger. We're going to obviously be getting more missions and stuff, seems to be what's going on. We also have some new characters that are coming, some of which have been updated. I quite like the new Seth in particular. That's a lot of fun. But you'll see here, like, all of the original characters are in the lineup. We've also got this guy here in the wheelchair. I love the fact that they've done that. And we've got this punk person Which, if we're talking about stereotypes, that punk is very clearly going to be a coward because all of the ego is just up front in a horror movie. And the moment something goes wrong, they cower in the corner. Because that's just the way that it works in a horror movie.
Hey, Bruce.
Yeah.
What do you think the reference of that to being Drake, the guy in the wheelchair?
Drake?
Drake, yeah, because he played what's his face on Degrassi, who is in the wheelchair, who is a rapper. Whereas you can look at this guy, he's got the headphones, and the way his hair is with the glasses, and he's in the wheelchair.
Backwards.
Ball cap backwards. Yeah, you could argue this is a representation of Drake.
I'm going to have to look up the character you're referring to. I remember Degrassi. I don't remember a character in a wheelchair, though.
Yeah, it was Drake.
Ha ha! You know who I thought it was looking like? I thought it was looking like Samuel L. Jackson in Unbroken or whatever it's called. Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
But no, you're right. You're right. It's okay. So for those that are watching,
Right.
this is what. For those that are watching, this is what George is referring to. I had no idea. Wow. Good call. Good call. I really liked Degrassi High when I was growing up. Canadian show, ironically.
Maybe want to stab my eyeballs out.
It was trying to do something that nobody else was doing at the time, and I would probably argue that it was trying to do something that was important at the time too. It was trying to start conversations about things that most parents didn't want to talk about, but was important conversations. I don't know. That was always like the take I had from it. But that's it for the news. We are going to talk about an indie, and it's the one that I was teasing and hinting about last week.
Indie. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
All right. So, Modulorca is an orcs versus orcs skirmish combat game. And you can download this for free. Quite literally.
Ooh.
It's free to play. You get free rules, free cards that you can print out. There is an orc that you can print out and then just make different versions of him. Alternatively, you can use whatever else other orcs you want and just use the rules. Alternatively, there are actual things that you can buy to help support the company. We're just looking at just the basics of this today, so that you can buy a starter pack that comes with a huge range of different STLs to give you kind of everything that you need. It's a free game, or as they call it, the game. So you've got different factions. Like the whole point of this is that you're looking at different orcs fighting each other for control and power, essentially. I really like this. I really, really do. I'm just opening up my copy of the rules that I downloaded earlier. If you open up the actual rulebook from that free download, core rules are spelled ROOLZ. So they're running with the orc theme. Very, very much so. It's a really pretty looking book too, honestly. It looks professional, which is really nice. Gives you options for terrain and so on and so forth. Obviously, it talks about how the game works. Dodging gives you examples in the artwork of how certain things actually work. The factions, we have the Horde. We have Hunters. We have Rockers. We have Gearheads. We have Speed Cult. And we have Pirates. Because pretty much, let's be fair, most orcs have essentially the same cliches throughout the whole lot. But basically what they've done is they've given you an option to use essentially anything orc-wise you want will fit into one of these now, which is really nice.
You know what my favorite thing I'm seeing in the picture here when you go into the the download spot?
Mm-hmm.
The objective markers.
Download for free. I'm guessing that's rules and cards.
No, it's in the image, like the objective markers. Like there's a picture, you got the rule book, you got some cards, a couple minis, and then like you've got the objective.
I thought you were.
Yeah, well, I clicked on something else probably.
Oh, the 1, 2, 3. Okay, no, I see what you're talking
yeah.
about. Yep.
Yeah. Like that is like the most like orc thing I've seen is the way those objective markers are done. Like I said, I'm not a big orc guy. But
you don't have to like everything.
Mean, for what this guy has done and just saying like, here you go, have it. Please support me. Like, that's really cool. Like, take the time, effort, and energy to develop something like this, and then just give it away. Like,
pretty much, and with the hope that people will support them.
Right, like in the game workshops, and the Corvus Belli, and the Privateer Press, and the TT Combat, and the whoever else is out there, where you quite literally have to pay for anything and everything associated with the game for this guy to just say, I made a game, you can have it, I don't care. Kickback would be nice. I think it's so refreshing. Like, I almost want to just give this guy a kickback just for doing that. Just like, go buy a beer. Like, you know?
This stuff is really good. Like, in the free download sections, there's full color cards and stuff that you can download. And they look like they've had a lot of time spent on them too. There is, like I hinted at earlier, there is an STL for a single lad. Obviously, if you want to get more of his orcs, then you would need to buy them.
Which even, you know, like, it looks like he's charging like $9 to $13 for an STL file.
Yeah, it's not much. There's also translations of the game into French, Dutch, and Spanish, which that costs money, and it costs big money to do that.
Unless you happen to be, you know, like a fluent speaker of those languages, you know.
Yes,
like
which he might have been. I don't
know. God, these look so, like I just went on Mr. Mordok's Globwalka C.
Right.
It's $13 for that file, and God, that just looks so good.
They're just fun, and it's just silly, stupid fun, in like the best way.
So the other thing too is, look at this. So it's my mini factory. So maybe this is a printing.
No. That's an STL company.
It's an STL. Okay.
There is somewhere you can buy the physical models from, though.
Okay. But going back to what I was saying here, they specifically put on there 92% of what you're paying is going to the creator.
Yep.
Like they're specifically saying, we're not, you know, Apple, and, you know, keep you 25%. You know, we're sending as much as we can to the creator. 92% is a pretty large chunk. I mean, to keep 8% to like host and put this out, I mean, that's pretty paltry. You know, that's
no, it's been done really, really well. This actually won the indie game, the indie of the year at Beasts of War. So in our last episode, I was going through the prizes that they'd given out for their annual awards, and I said that like every week, and like our indie segment was inspired by theirs. I've never really hidden that. I mean, I don't openly talk about it all the time, but I've never really hidden it. That of all of the ones that they do, and they do theirs weekly, this is the one that they said was the best. They actually have they have videos on this, and like you can go find videos on how this works online. So honestly, go and have a look of it. This thing looks amazing. But unless you have other thoughts, I think we should talk about some hobby.
Trim, glue, prime, paint.
So we're going to be talking about some hobby, and we are going to be talking about some hobby starting with George, because George has something for us, don't you, George?
this.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was handed something.
I
was told I would be told when to open this.
Now.
Yep. Do it. Yeah.
You're getting a little pushy there now, Socks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
While you're opening that, I'm being interrupted.
Danger, I'm thinking. That seems mostly appropriate.
Yes.
Can I? Oh. Also in hobby, I finally got myself one of these. It showed up today. Look,
Yeah.
it's it's part of it, but that's not the important part of it. I ordered some acrylic stands for my Custody bikes because the plastic stands that come with the Games Workshop models are the worst thing ever. And they will snap simply by looking at them. So I was able to measure the diameter of the ball that goes into the Mini, and I looked it up and I found acrylic rods of that same diameter. Which, as we all know, acrylic is much better. That's what not Games Workshop, TT Combat's using for their flight stands.
Mm-hmm.
So I got acrylic coming. So I got myself some hobby saw blades to cut through acrylic and cork and whatnot. So that cost me around about $12 for the 6 blades and the hobby handle, I think. So
Nice.
not too bad. And then I got more of the chrome paint and to finish chroming the Custodies. And holy crap, I blow through that. It on 15 psi in the smallest nozzle, that paint goes. It goes quick. I think that's about it. I ordered something, but we'll talk about here in a few minutes. Bruce, something else showed up for you, right?
Yeah, that's why I got the knock at the door. So, I guess this is clearly fit from you guys because nobody else is going to have sent this to Jason the Bruce. Well, it doesn't say that, but it's literally addressed to Jason the Bruce Grubb. So it has to have been you guys.
Yeah. No,
also, there's apart from our listeners who don't have my address, there's only 2 other groups of people that know I was even looking at this company.
Which, funny enough, you remember that jail we sent you a few years ago?
Yeah.
Turns out it's the same company, so.
Was it? I thought that was someone else. Oh, okay.
No, when I was looking at the app for the tracking, it says other things you might like from this company. It's the jail that we sent you.
Yeah. I was going to say I'll have to have another look at it, but I can't because the packaging was thrown away when I built it.
See if I can find it real quick. It's not showing up. But yeah, so.
Oh, you've sent me cardboard.
We did.
Yes, your bird will probably love that because you can pick and tear apart at that.
I get lollies. I don't know what it says, but... Oh, it says refreshers. Okay. Apparently it's vegan friendly.
Throw it out.
Advertisement. Stencils. That's the road markings. Yep. So one of the reasons I found this company, for those that didn't see the episode, I found out that they had stencils for road markings, and I was trying to find an easier way to do them with my game. And I'm pretty sure I know what the rest of this is going to be because it's going to be what inspired the purchase. Yeah. It's the retro Americana stuff. Oh, wow. So that's the caravan. It's made with 1 sheet. That's amazing.
What? 1 sheet? Really?
1 or 2?
No, it's 1 sheet.
That's crazy.
Oh, there's a layer of cardboard in here as well. That's how they get... Okay. There's a layer of cardboard, and that's how they get the rounded look on it.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. I'm surprised there's not more. I'm surprised there's not more to that kit, though. I mean, it's the smallest thing that's going to be here, but... Petrol station. So that's a couple more layers, but you would expect that to be because there's more to it. Retro signage, and this is good. I do have a rooftop one, but this is a ground one. So this can either be my advertisement for the caravan park or the trailer park, or my original plan was always going to be that I want this to be advertising the city and talking about how great the city is, and clearly being an old advertisement from back in the day before everything went to crap.
Small theater screen.
Residential trailer. This was the kind of the highlight of what we were talking about at the time, because this is literally what I was trying to find, because somebody had to have made a residential trailer. And a barn. Oh, it's a derelict barn. Nice. That works with a couple of things, actually. That's probably going to end up on a different table, not my Entropy City one, but that's really cool. Thank you. I assume that there's thank yous to Michel, because Michel's in all of those conversations.
Yeah, no, it was kind of a we went back and forth. Like, we actually, not to say we started arguing in the chat, but we started arguing because he wanted to do one kid. I was just like, no, we should really actually do this one because
it's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, this is the one he was actually wanting. It would probably actually be more useful than, more stuff, taking up space. At least this he can, take and use on his demos.
Yeah. One thing I kind of want to do, and I'm going back and forth on it at the moment, is I kind of want to build like a permanent 4x4 table, like an actual one that I could use at demos when I get to the point. This, for people that don't know, ultimately is mostly going to be used for Entropy City, which is a game I'm developing at the moment. I have talked about it a few times. Patreon knows a little bit more about it because it's not a promise of the Patreon, but it's being shared there kind of before anyone else because, well, thank you for looking after us. But the game isn't to a point where I'm like ready to take it to events or anything yet. I'm in the middle of testing right now, but I'm kind of really tempted to do a proper like wooden 4x4 board that I can take to events when that time comes. The problem is that I have no way of traveling with a table like that because it won't fit on the motorbike. Not that the motorbike's going anywhere right now, but it will be by the time I move.
I have a suggestion for you, Bruce.
Mats?
Cork tiles.
Yeah, true.
I don't know about in Australia, but I can order a 1/4 inch by 12 inch by 12 inch cork tiles.
I don't know what the size of the ones are I originally looked at, but that's actually a good point.
So, but if you do something like that, then you could modularize it to where, it's like one of, like they still all go together, but you can put them in different orders to create different, roadways and stuff.
True.
The original Dropzone Commander 12-inch tiles, the little cardboard ones.
Yep.
I think that's what you're trying to get at, George, right?
Yeah, kind of like that. God, actually, those are roadways. Would those work, Bruce?
Actually, they're all sitting right here in this box, right here.
I'll tell you why they won't work. They're designed for a scale that's about a quarter of what I'm looking at.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
28 mil versus 10 mil. It's not going to work. I actually have a
big
tape.
bikes.
Yeah.
Driving down a sidewalk.
It would be actually, yeah. On Friday night, I actually hosted. I did the very first full-sized game. So we had 5 bikes apiece, and it was on a proper 4x4 table. It was done with 2 foot by 2 foot mats from the original Mars Attacks game, and I basically created a city board. It's not a perfect city board by all means. It didn't quite line up the way that I wanted it to perfectly, but it was exactly what I needed for the game itself. Game itself went rather smoothly. There's been a couple of significant changes to the game recently, because I'd been kind of going back and forth as to whether I want wounds in the game or not. So I'd made a lot of changes to certain things, and it's like, well, I don't know how this is going to go. It actually went fairly well. There's a couple of things I definitely had to change, because I didn't really have a way of tracking wounds without just having dice everywhere, which just gets annoying. I made the decision of, well, most of these characters are going to have 1 wound, and there's 1 character that has 2, because I had like something I could use. So I was like, and that's on there. And I actually tested like multiple weapons and stuff. The issue of doing it that way was that because most people only had 1 wound, the weapons kind of all felt like they were the same, because something that has 2 weapons is still only doing 1 wound. Sorry, something that has 2 wounds only still only does 1 wound damage because it's already dead. But other than that, it went fine. The big thing I'm trying to figure out right now is how many bikes can I have on the table before it becomes too much. Honestly, with the way that it went, like there were significant bottlenecks, but there were bottlenecks that I designed on the table. I reckon I could easily go to 6 or 7 bikes a piece before it becomes a problem, which is good because it gives me more flexibility with models and stuff. And when it comes to maybe somebody being a horde army, it helps with that as well.
Have you had any thoughts about having any bikes with sidecars?
Yes, but I don't have any rules for them yet. But that will definitely be a thing that will happen.
That'll be fun.
Yep.
Socks, what have you been up to?
So I got these models, I don't know, a few years ago. But with me not really doing any painting in Star Wars Legion Land as of now, I was thinking about finding paint to do these guys. These are the Black Seas from World Games.
Yep.
This is a 5th rate frigate. And then I've got the 3rd rate frigate there. So
nice.
I've been looking at paints to do in both the British and the French navies, Napoleonic era, and so
Socks.
What's that?
Can I just give you a flat out recommendation?
What's that?
Go look for the leather and wood kit in scale 75, the brand scale 75 paint. After working with some of their paint, like actually sitting down painting with it more on my Custodes, the paint is just so gorgeous. Like, don't get me wrong, Vallejo's good, but God, the scale 75, I've quite literally fallen in love with it.
The only thing you need to be aware of with the Scale 75 is that if you don't look after it, it can go kind of powdery after a while. So just watch out for that long term. It's not an issue now, it'll be an issue later.
But
it's good.
I would recommend that just because it'll give you like the color palette to do wood and leather effects, which guess what? That's perfect for a ship. All you have to do is find some bright colors for the livery and you'll be set.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the British. The British usually had black and yellowish, brown and yellowish striping on their ships, and the French were a little bit different. So I'd have to get different
flamboyant,
colors. And so, but yeah, I'll definitely look in the Scale 75s for sure.
Like I'm only throwing it out there just because I've been working with it a lot the last couple of weeks, and it goes on smooth, it goes on thin, and it goes on matte and vibrant.
And it's very matte too, which for boats makes sense.
Yeah, especially that time frame.
Have I put up the cloak of that custodian I was working on?
You have, but you haven't shown it on camera.
Okay,
there is a Vallejo equivalent, but I am agreeing with George on.
Shiny chrome, right?
Yeah.
Look how flat that is.
That is pretty flat. Yeah, that would work perfect.
So, I want to say that's like $25-$30 for a set of 7 paints, and it'll give you the color range of how to do wood effects. I've got it sitting back here because it's a great set of browns. So,
yeah, I'll look into those for sure.
Yeah,
appreciate it. So that's what I'm going to be working on over the next few weeks. Well, until our so we mentioned this last episode.
Well, we did, but only for our Patreon.
That is true.
That's right. So, it was redacted for reasons from the last episode.
So, for those of you who are not Patreons, we discussed off camera, well, on camera for our Patreons, a painting competition that we're going to be doing. As you all know, I'm not a Games Workshop fan, but those two fools decided to get me into doing a Games Workshop as part of our painting competition that we're going to be doing.
Yep. So when we say it's a painting competition, we mean it's a painting competition between us 3. I mean, by all means, if people want to join in, they're more than welcome to. There's no actual prize. We're just doing this. But we're doing this for the YouTube algorithm. Let's be fair. Like, that is literally what we're doing. The reason this has been something that I have been talking about doing for probably 18 months or more at this point. because it's just something I've wanted to do for a really long time. And this was something that a lot of the popular channels were doing for a while. It was like, it's a 24-hour painting challenge. And we have a couple of issues that we need to get around to make this work, but we are doing it with the Skink Star Priest. We had 3 different models that we had kind of come to, and we put it out to our Patreon to kind of which do you think we should do? And they chose this. I might have harassed them to vote a couple of times. Twice. So it came up and this overwhelmingly won, quite significantly. So the challenge is going to be for April. Because we all have real life job, this is not our job. We don't make money from this. I mean, as much as, hey, it's a dream, but that's not where we are. So we are allowed to spend 24 hours on this. That includes building it. And we must do that within the month of April. So it doesn't all have to be at the once. We have all agreed that we are going to try and film as much of this process as possible. And then I get the fun job of trying to edit it all. Yay. So you will not see the results of this until probably May. We won't see each other's work until May. Because we will not be sharing each other's work with each other. I have spoken, and I don't know if you two know this, I have spoken with both Michel and Ben. So if you want someone to bounce ideas off or get feedback from, they agreed that they will do that without ruining it for us. So you do actually have somebody that you can go to and kind of bounce ideas off and stuff. Yeah. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm someone that kind of needs that at times.
Yeah. Can I throw one more stipulation into this?
Yes.
We can't go by a specific skink only yellow green color shift to do the paint with. This has to be. We have to use stuff that exists on our bench right now.
That's fair. Although I'm going to say right now, I'm not using a color shift right now. Because I own the entire range, so I'm not going to be doing that.
But I'm just saying, you have to use what exists on your bench right now. You can't go buy, 2 or 3 things in the course of April to do this mini. This has to be stuff we have on our benches right now.
Yep. We are also not going to be changing things up, and that is fine. But you're not allowed to green stuff anything. Although George and I literally won't do that anyway.
I don't touch green stuff.
Sox doesn't care enough about it to do that.
Nope.
As part of this, because we have dragged him across to do what is, let's be fair, the popular choice here. That's why we're doing a Games Workshop model. It's because that's what's going to get attention, hopefully. But the agreement is that if this does do well, then me and George have to do a historical mini next, which is not either of our wheelhouses and will definitely give him the advantage. So we're hoping that you will support us in this and that this video does well. And then we get to do a historical one next time. I don't know when that will be. I would like this to be semi-regular. So even if it's only in 6 months' time or something. But we need to see how popular the video is in that first. Anything else we want to say? Other than, thank you very much for choosing the one that's decided to be out of stock.
Yeah, I know, right?
Although George already has one on the way, I have one in my cart ready to come. I think the only one...
I've looked at 2 of the 4 stores that I can look at locally, and yeah, it's sitting in my cart on Miniature Market.
Yeah. So
I even looked at Valhalla Hobby, and they don't have this particular model on Valhalla Hobby.
No, it might be worth it might be worth sending him a message to see if maybe it's just not on the website. But my assumption is that it's not in stock.
So having dealt closely with a couple of game shop owners, typically when something's not available on the GW website, stores can't get it either. So
yeah, that is true.
If they don't have it in stock, they'll get it when you could get it from the store too.
Gets it back, yep.
Yeah, So
yeah, like I said, I got 2 stores. One in particular that sells more Games Workshop stuff a little bit further north here that I plan on going to look at. over the next couple weeks, so I can try and get it. If not, hopefully soon.
Yep. No, that makes sense. So yeah, that is the staff competition. Like I said, by all means, if other people in there want to join in and try to put theirs up against ours, by all means, and then obviously send us the results of what you finish. Our plan is to do this in April. I say plan because if Socks can't get his before April, then it will have to be May.
Talk nerdy to me.
It's the Resisties turn. People have probably figured that out because I had this up on the screen for about 30 seconds before we moved across. So, the Resistance. Now, the Resistance did not exist when Dropzone first came out. They were introduced later.
Much later.
Yeah.
Much later.
The aesthetic of the Resistance is, I want to say, universally loved, pretty much. I mean, I might be wrong on that, but I don't think I am. The big difference with this starter set as opposed to the other ones is this one is not all hard plastic. This one is a mixture of metal and resin, and it always has been. Because it never got to the point where Hawk actually moved it over. So that's just something to keep in mind. So, in the starter set, you get... Now, hang on, where are we?
I got it.
So have I. You get 2 anti-tank Hannibals, 6 anti-air gun wagons, 12 bases of resistance fighters, and 6 jacks and half tanks. You have a solid core of an army. It's transported in 2 Kraken hovercrafts and 3 Lift Hawks for aerial support. It's led by the Hydra Relay hovercraft. So there's lots of hovercrafts. There's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things in this. I've always been tempted by this army. As far as the starter set is concerned, I think like my favorite is the airships, like just aesthetically wise, that they just look cool. I don't know if you guys have any preferences or anything in particular you want to point out, Socks.
Yeah, I agree. I like one of the tournaments I played in England that I when I was living over there saw these live talks, and I have to agree they look pretty cool on the table. It just looks like they took a industrial type vehicle that was somewhat militarized and just, I mean, as we know with the Resistance, they're just whatever equipment we can find, we're going to strap military weapon to it.
Yeah, because they had nothing, quite literally.
Yeah, and so
I did buy some of these battle buses at some point for a painting competition that the Dropzone Commander community were doing, and I was going to convert one of them to look like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle van, but then real life got in the way and I never actually got to do anything with it. I came across the model recently. Because there was a painting competition where you had to paint it to look like something else from pop culture. So, with all of the other ones, we have always said we're not looking at recommending the behemoths as part of this, because that is something that you don't really want to start with as a beginner. Our suggestions are things from the army that either do something that the rest of your starter box doesn't, or add something that it's not capable of doing, or maybe we just think it looks cool. I suspect that it's going to be a little bit of both with this, especially like there's been a couple of times now where we've had similar ideas and we've had to kind of think of something else at the last second. That happened to me twice last time, I think. But yeah, so we're not recommending the behemoth because, yeah, it's not something for beginners. It's something you add to the game later. Socks.
All right. I'm going to go with this one because it's a new type of auxiliary transport. So it's an auxiliary transport. I'm going to talk about the drills.
Aha. Yep. Which one?
Either one.
Okay.
Because it's either a smaller one or a big one. They're about the same. The mechanics of how they work are the same. I mean, just the ability that you can drill out of the ground and spew out a horde of armies depending on what type of transport you have. With the 101 drill, you get a transport value of 6, 45 points, squad size of 1. It's a 0 move, active countermeasures, 15 armor, 5 damage, type tank. It's Axis, it's rare. So the Axis is where it allows you to have troops pile out of it, and it's subterranean. So when this unit enters into play from in readiness, place it anywhere on the board on possible terrain. Any units embarking in this terrain count as leaving the board for the purposes of scoring objectives. So not only can you get guys out of here, but you can drive guys out to get objectives. And so if you want to put something on the back half of the board, you can easily do so. And then the 209 breaching drill, again, has the same stats, just 90 points. But this thing has a transport value of 18, and it's large, 8 damage, and has the same subterranean rule. So if you wanted to, with the 18 transport value that it has, you could spew out, for example, where's their standard stuff? You could spew out 18 rocket technicals or 9 AA gun wagons.
Yeah.
That is a lot of stuff that you're spewing out of one unit.
It's insane. Yeah.
Think of the Skaven in Warhammer. You're just spewing models out and just to overwhelm them.
Yep.
Granted, your rocket technicals aren't the strongest units in the game, but when you got 18 of them, you're going to overwhelm them eventually.
I just noticed something. So, the breaching drill can hold 18 of that particular type of unit, right?
Yep.
Have a look at the Juggernaut. I assume there's a rule that says the Juggernaut can't come out of that. I know we're not supposed to be talking about the Juggernaut, but...
No, it has a transport value of 18 as well. So yes, they can take 18 with it too. I read it in the rules.
So you could just bring a Juggernaut on halfway up the table.
No. The Juggernaut can drop down and have 18 technicals roll out of the back of it.
Sorry. Yep. Okay, good point.
I was looking at like trying to figure out like how are you what?
No, because the ones that are kind of the white background, those are the ones that are transport values. The ones that have the bluish background in terms of that.
That's what can be transported.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah, no, you're right. Yep. I was just getting confused for a second.
Otherwise, that would be ludicrous.
Broken is what it would be.
Anyway, so one of those two units, that would be the one that I would, out of the two that we're going to talk about, those are the two that I'm going to kind of combine into one, because you're going to really, if you have a lot of units that are small that you can dump out of that 209, it's great. If you have different units that you can still use out of that 109, it's still great. I mean, you're not going to be spitting out as much, but it allows you to just dump units in the back half of their board, and you can bring that on. Like I said, it's considered in readiness. So in readiness, sometimes you don't have to bring it on right away. I mean, you could bring it in when you want to, when half their army is up the board, and you come in from the backside.
Yep. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. George, do you have one, or would you like me to go?
I've got one. And in tradition of my recommendation, usually I don't address an extra commander if you already start with one, but I'm going to recommend the Alexander Heavy Tank, because one, it's 100 points. Two, I think it's one of the cheapest options in the game for a big gun. And I know I always talk about the big guns, but when you start a crusade beyond the starter size, you are going to need a big gun, because people are going to also start bringing bigger models too. Yeah. So it's just the natural, expansion, evolution, and escalation. You got to have a big gun. For 100 points, you get a commander with a move of 2, countermeasure of active, armor 15, damage 5. It's a tank. What really is the key part of this, being 100 points, is the 220 millimeter equalizer cannon. Why is it called an equalizer cannon? Well, it has a maximum range of infinity, countered of 18, one shot with a 2 up to hit with an energy of 12.
Yeah.
That's not Sheltari, that's not PHR, but it's not shabby. It's got a Devastator of 3 for all, so then it's also got a Maelstrom grenade launcher, range full of 18, countered 6, 2 shots, 3 up, energy of 7, penetrative, and then it's got 2 chain guns, left and right, 36 and 18 respectively for the range, 4 shots, 3 up to hit, 6 energy, focus, 2.
Yeah.
So, for 100 points, that is a solid little addition to an army. It does have a transport value of 6, so you could roll it out of that big drill that Sox was talking about halfway up the field and just start going.
No, wrong type of transport.
Oh, yeah, it is wrong type of transport. I see that now. It's orange, not blue.
Yeah, that would come in on one of your lift hawks. So the lift hawk, your starter set, you could bring it up. You could bring your commander in off of that.
Yeah. Thank you for correcting that. Yeah. So yeah. But still, I mean, if you look at some of the other bigger units in this army, yeah, it's probably one of the more expensive one, but for its price of what it could do, I'd say it's a good solid option.
Yeah. All right. I am going to start with a hovercraft because this has been something that people want for a long time and it was out of stock for a very long time. I'm looking at the Thunderstorm Heavy Hovercraft because what did you say about big guns, George? It's got a big
guns
gun.
are fun.
Yeah. All right. It's got a move of 10. Active countermeasures, E+1. Oh, sorry, it's 200 points. Squad size of 1. It's got 13 armor, damage of 9. It's a skimmer type. Its special is command center and large. So it's got a looted plasma cannon, move and fire of 6 inches. So you can
it's
move
got 4 of them actually.
Oh yeah, they're all the
got
same
4
weapon. Sorry, good
cannons.
point. 4 looted cannons. So you got move and fire of 6 inches, which is good. You can be a little flexible. Front, side, and rear. All of them are 18 inches. We get 1 shot, energy of 2+. So you get 4 shots, all of its energy 2+.
Accuracy 2+.
So accuracy 2+, sorry. Energy of 12, and it's Devastator 2 against infantry and scenery. With the hovercraft, when a unit disembarks from this unit, measure from any point on its edge rather than the center. A disembarking unit suffers only a +1 penalty for its accuracy instead of a +2. And they can target aircraft in the same round. Additionally, this unit does not have to start the game in reserve, ignoring the aerial advantage rule. So, because this is open top, it means that you don't get that disadvantage with the air stuff that's coming in. This can bring in like 12 actual units. And on top of it, it's also got really nice guns on it. I quite like this. There is an alternate version of this where you build it up to be the Leviathan and it basically takes more, but it doesn't have the big gun on it. I just thought it was worth mentioning.
Yep, good option.
Socks.
All right, so my next one is going to be the Cyclone Attack Copter.
Yeah, that was on my list too.
So you can have a squad size of 1 to 4, 60
Yep.
points apiece, move of 16, countermeasures is active, armor 11, damage 2, aircraft type. You've got 2 chain guns that have no move and fire penalties, so you can move up to your full distance and still fire. Full range. Louis, you got to fix that. Arc is full, arc is front. Range full is 36, range countered is 18, shots 4, 3+, accuracy, energy 6, focus 2 on your chain guns. Then you have a heavy machine gun, which is an 8-inch move and fire, front arc, again 36 inches for range full, 12 inches countered, 2 shots, accuracy of 3+, 5 energy on that. And then you have some optional weapons. You can take a tornado missile, which is an 8-inch move and fire, front arc, 36 inches, full, 18 inches countered, 1 shot, 4+ accuracy, 7 energy, area indirect, so you can use it like an artillery round. And then you have the Beowulf missiles. And you have an 8-inch move and fire, left and right, arcs, and front as well. Since you have 2 of them, 36 inches full, 9-inch countered, 1 shot, 3+ accuracy, energy 10, limited to 2. So really you have limited 4 because you got 2 of those, times that by 2. This unit may replace both of its chain guns with tornado missiles and 2 Beowulf missiles for no cost. So for those of you in the military, just think of this as the Apache attack helicopter. Bringing in a squad of 4 of these things. I mean, these things can just fly in, as an aircraft. They're pretty hefty for aircraft as well. They have 11 armor, which a lot of aircraft don't have that much armor, and 2 damage points as well. And so I've seen a squad of these flying around just tearing stuff up. And so very, very handy flying around and cleaning stuff up as you need to. So
I have a question. You said something about Louis had to fix something, but I missed what the mistake was that he has to fix.
I was looking at the arc at first, and it said F. I thought that was the range. So that was my bad.
Okay.
I'm reading the stat line.
Yep.
Nothing's wrong.
That's fine. George.
So the last thing I looked at that might make sense. Again, with adding a bigger gun, because stuff gets bigger, you're also going to need to move faster too. And the Swift Hawk Tilt Jet kind of spoke to me as like a little good addition. It's pretty cheap at 30 points. Has a move of 24, so that's half the board. Active countermeasure, armor 10, 1 damage as an aircraft. Missile pod, 12-inch move and fire. Arc is front, range 36, counter 9, 1 shot, 3+, 8 damage for penetrative. Machine gun can just move fine. Front side rear, 24 full, 12 countered, 3 shots, 3 up, 4 energy. But as a transport, can carry some troops. Hoverboard, if this unit moves 12 or less, a squad disembarking if it gets rapid insertion for the end of the round. That's a pretty cheap, pretty quick troop carrier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Swift Hawk Tilt Jet is pretty nice, but and as another option to George, the Strike Hawk Tilt Rotor, which looks like the CV-22 one, it can carry a little bit more troops, not as fast. So either one of those two options is pretty good at getting your troops in really fast.
Yeah.
And has some weapons to help defend it as needed. So
yeah, I was looking primarily more at the point cost.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
30 points is not bad at all.
30 points, you can squeeze a couple of those into a list, no problem. You start doing like the 100 points, you start have to make choices.
No, you're right.
So that was my reason for that. It's cheap, it can carry troops, it can move quick, and it can give your troops an advantage. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Yep. For my last option, I want to have a talk about the free riders. I might quickly talk about the attack ATVs as well, because for the same reason. Because it's bikes. I mean, of course I'm going to talk about the bikes. So, the free riders, they are 40 points. It's a squad size of 2 to 4. They can move 12 inches. Countermeasures are E+4. Armor 8, damage 3, infantry 3+. Its special is infiltrate 3 inches and resilient. It has a machine gun, which has a move and fire up to 9 inches. Arc is front, side, and rear. Range is 24. Counted is 12. 3 shots, 3+, energy 4, and it's reduced 1. You also have knives and pistols, which is just close quarters. 3 shots, 3 energy, reduced 1. Bikes. This unit loses its evasion countermeasure when in a garrison. In addition, this unit may choose to retain its full movement distance when exiting a garrison, although cannot embark into a transport if it does so. Sticky mines. After completing a move attack, pick one enemy unit this unit moved within 1 inch of. That unit is hit with a sticky mine. That unit suffers an automatic hit from an energy 9 weapon, which is nasty. You just can't tie these things down. And I quite love that, like getting to use your full transport out. Or, just going straight into the transport and disappearing that way. The attack ATV essentially kind of feels very similar, except they're ATVs instead. So the movement is 9 inches, countermeasures is E+1, armor 9, damage 3. So that part is relatively similar. But weapons-wise, it's different. They have assault grenade launchers, which we were talking about in something else earlier. We got move and fire of 6 inches for the assault grenade launchers. Arc is front. Range full is 9 inches. Counted as 6. 3 shots. Accuracy 2+. Energy 5. It's alt. So we'll talk about the other option in a second. Focus 2, reduce 1. The other option is incendiary grenades. which is pretty similar right up until the range is 6 inches for both. You get 6 shots, 3+, energy 3. And that's flame and reduced. So it's just a matter of how you want to pull them off. You've got a couple of options, basically. And because this is bigger, it cannot enter garrisons. I like these because they're doing something that literally nobody else in the game does. Like, you get motorbikes in this faction. So, it's motorbikes, therefore I think it's cool. But especially with like the actual free riders in particular, I think are potentially quite nasty if you use them right.
So the one thing I like about, like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of like their look and whatnot, like how they play, but I love the look though of not loving the look of how, you got the ragtag stuff, but then you have some actual like military stuff. Like, you got some of the rocket things, which are like, in the anti-air gun wagon. Like, those are just straight up like reclaimed vehicles, like, insurgent style stuff's welded on right next to an attack hovercraft.
Yeah.
Like, it's a pretty unique thing. So
they were popular enough with the community that when Drop Fleet Commander was launched and there was not supposed to be any resistance at all, like the answer was no, they will never feature in the game because we don't believe that they would have spaceships. They were that popular that the community basically made them change their mind. There was really, they really didn't have much of a choice in the matter. I mean, they obviously had a choice, but you know what I mean. That's how popular the resistance has proven to be. It's probably, I don't know as far as numbers in tournaments and stuff is concerned, obviously, but as far as fan perception is concerned, they're certainly one of the more popular armies. And I think the aesthetic is a large part of why, because it looks so different than anything else.
Tournaments, demos, conventions, that kind of stuff.
All right, Adepticon is getting really close now. 22nd to the 26th of March. It's in Schaumburg, Illinois. Georgia's actually not that far from there, really. He's not going, but he's not that far from it.
No, it's not. If I had a road trip partner living in Cheyenne, Wyoming, we could easily road trip that.
Hey, sounds like an idea. Get that direction.
you guys could film. You guys could film. Yeah, you guys could film Let's Plays for us all the time.
I have a hybrid, so we'd spend less on gas too.
Nice.
Not your insane, land wagon of oil drilling necessity.
We also have the Conquest Gaming Convention coming up shortly. That's on April 7th till 9th. Happens at the Coburg Town Hall in Melbourne. I don't know if I'm going to be there or not. I have actually had somebody ask me recently. I hadn't realised it was actually that close. So it will depend on if I have the bike fixed by then or not. Because the bike's going to have to take priority. Things are a little tight right now. And, of course, Salute is coming up in April as well. 22nd of April at the Excel Centre in London.
I don't think any of us are going to make it to that.
Nope.
No, we're a little bit too far away. I'd try to walk there, but it might take me the rest of my life.
You'd have to walk farther than the Proclaimers.
Very true. Very, very special thanks to Valhalla Hobby. They became a sponsor of ours last month. They, as of last week, gave us the code that George mentioned earlier, GT2305, to get 5% off any order you make of $100 or more. That's at valhallahobby.com, and that will last the entire year. Valhalla Hobby, it's a hobby store, so you can expect to have your big name stuff there. Your Atomic Mass games are there. Your Games Workshop, your Dungeons and Dragons are obviously there. But the big difference with Valhalla Hobby is they have a real passion, like us, for the smaller guys. They have a ton of niche games in there, including some of our favourites. I've mentioned before Bushido, Moonstone. They have tons and tons of different options in there. Conquest is there. Infinity is there. Rumbleslam is there. Dystopian Wars is there. It definitely worth your time, especially if you're in the US, because obviously you're right there.
Especially if you're a Dropzone Drop Fleet player. They
Yeah.
are one of the few stores that actually carry it here in the States.
Yep. They are in Verona, Wisconsin. So if you're in that area, then hey, maybe drop by. Support the people that support us. We very much appreciate it. Like as much as, yes, we do have sponsorship options, we are very, very careful about what we accept. We will not be accepting anybody that is not appropriate. So you can stand by that, assuming that you trust our opinion.
I wouldn't trust mine.
I wouldn't trust it either.
I don't know.
Wow!
I don't know if George. I don't know if George even has an opinion. He's not entitled to one, is he?
You can find us at patreon.com at www.patreon.com/gettingtabled. Our website, gettingtabled.com. Most of the stuff you're gonna, where we initially announced what we've got, we've done something. You're gonna find on Facebook.com/gettingtabled. But we are on YouTube.com/gettingtabled. If you are a Patreon for $2 a month, you do get early access to the video. Was it 3 days early from everyone else, Bruce?
4.
4 days earlier.
Because in theory, they will get it later tonight, and it will go live on YouTube on Thursday. So 4 days.
There we go. So if you got anything you need to ask us, want us to talk about, or inquire about, you can email us at gettingtabled@gmail.com. Twitter and Instagram are at gettingtabled, and then Bruce has his Twitch.
Twitch.tv/Jason the Bruce. Just keep in mind that I'm only streaming casually until September because I'm currently working later hours as of Tuesday. If you do support us on Patreon, sorry to harp on this, but if you do support us on Patreon, if you start doing it between now and the 2nd of April, you will gain an entrance into the competition. We're giving away a Sheltari Fleet
Commander.
for Drop Fleet Commander. It includes a Dreadnought, which is why I got tongue-tied. It includes the starter set for the Sheltari Fleet, an extra box of cruisers, and an extra box of frigates. That'll all go out to one lucky person. People have been receiving an entry to the competition for every month that they've been supporting us. And that will all be drawn on the 2nd of April.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Tabled. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matyas at soundimage.org.